Okay. Hello, Tali. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Ori.
Hi, hi. How are you doing? Good to see you. Let me just start setting the mood here. While people come in. Yes. We have Storm here. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Storm is the best
Hey,
actress of all times.
thank you.
Storm does voiceover on many on my videos, and she could literally do anything. She could. We had you do Sarah Connor in the Terminator video. Remember that one?
Yeah, that was fun.
That was your-
Well, all your videos are fun, so
that was perfect. All right, so let's wait until like 10:05, see how many people join us, and then we'll start right away. And just a word of warning, there's going to be a lot of ducks in this presentation. So I know Bez, I know Storm. Tali, do you want to tell us about yourself a little? Are you comfortable with doing that?
Sure. I'm a little new to kind of the creating board game side of things. I'm a speech therapist and started a line of products. They're behind me in 2020, and the last one is a board game, and the board game's being released on Kickstarter, and we have our basic idea for what the video's gonna look like. Yeah, I just wanted to come get the finishing touches, some ideas.
I
That's pretty
love
much it.
that. So it's basically it's a game that combines speech therapy with the gameplay itself, or
Not really. It's I use a lot of commercial products like regular games in my work, and so I wanted to create a game that I could also use as a vehicle to kind of teach parents how you could take any game and make it enriching for speech and language, but
wow.
also one that had little Easter eggs for like the speech pathologist, because it would tie into the existing line. So if they were using my existing line, then this would be a natural extension, but it's really created as a standalone product.
This is super fascinating. I
Thank
really
you.
hope to hear more about this, and we'll see how this. I'm really interested how you experience this workshop and how it connects to your product, because that is really fascinating. Hello, Imri. How are you doing? Local Israeli designer, and Tracy. Hello, Tracy. So we'll start in about 2 minutes, giving some latecomers to last chance to jump on. I love when I can see the people I can talk to and also hear their instant like reactions. So as long as they don't have like a dog barking in the background or I don't know, a truck, feel free to leave it unmuted if you want to like instantly react to something. Because unfortunately with Zoom, some of that interaction we miss out on. And you find yourself sometimes talking to this black void, and you might have people, laughing or crying or muting or emoting or anything, but you can't hear it. You don't have to do it if you're uncomfortable. I'm totally aware of that. But if you want to join in this sort of fireplace campfire storytelling experience, then by all means. All right, so I guess we can begin. Yes. So let's set the stage. Now, a lot of you here do know me, but just in case you don't, hi, I'm Ori. I live in Israel. I'm 34, married, and with 2 kids. And I've always wanted to make movies. Ever since I was a kid, I used to go out with my friends into the backyard, draw our plastic lightsabers, and just have at each other. And, you know, we wanted to be in the movie. We wanted to be in these stories, in these worlds. And one day I said, let's make a movie. Let's make a real Star Wars movie. And I had my Aikido suit, and my friend had black clothes. I was the Jedi, obviously, he was a Sith. And we did this whole choreography of the full fight. It was like 3 minutes. We knew all the moves, all the moments, you know, mapped it all out, practiced every day after school. And no phones back then with cameras. So I had my dad's friend come in with his video camera to shoot us. And he said, look, I have 40 minutes and then I need to go. I was like, okay. And then he comes and he asks me, okay, so what do I do? And I like, okay, let's figure this out. I guess we're gonna need different angles. That would make sense. So do it from this side once, do it from the other side the second time, and then just do a big shot of everything from the middle. You know, and this is just me figuring it out on the fly. Then I discovered there's a lot of things I didn't think about. You know, we really went at it. Ready, set, action. We did the fight. It was perfect. I rolled in the grass. You know, I had grass sticking on my suit, and my hair became crazy, and it was perfect take. Then we did another take, but I was all dirty now. Okay, so we need to fix the continuity, and then we did it again. And we managed to do the shoot on time. I took it to my computer, and back then I started experimenting with After Effects and with editing. So we figured out how to do a lightsaber effect. We figured out how to edit the whole thing together, match it to music. And we looked at the footage, and I'm like, oh my God, this is horrible. This is so embarrassing. But we need to do this. I mean, we spent all this time. And unfortunately, life sort of took over. And other than just a few shots, I never finished that movie. But the dream remained. And I sort of had that epiphany, you know, I could do this for a living. I could make movies. That is an actual job title. And that is basically the call to adventure. That is where our story starts, where every story starts, because it needs some sort of beginning. We need to go out of our comfort zone into the unknown, into someplace new. So we are now going to delve from sort of a little bit more technical stuff, and then we're going to move back into a little bit more organic, and there's a word that I'm missing, but I can't come up with. But every game product, business, or idea has a story to tell, and each one of them has 3 key elements. Who is the storyteller? Who is the listener? And the bridge between them. Now, storytelling across recent history has all these sort of structures that were built, that they said, all these formulas that every story needs to have. We already mentioned the call to adventure. And I think the most famous one is Joseph Campbell, The Hero's Journey. You've probably heard of it. That basically takes us through he says every story has these specific beats. That's how a story works. Call to adventure, refusal of the call, then crossing the threshold, getting to a new dangerous world, facing all the challenges and pearls along the way until you reach some sort of your what's called your worst nightmare. Okay, the biggest challenge of all, and only by dying and being reborn, you can overcome that challenge. And then the last part of it is coming back to the ordinary world as a changed person, as a changed man, changed woman, changed being, and giving that change back into the world. Now, that sounds emotional, sounds good, but not all stories have that. But some people say they go even further. There's Christopher Vogler, that even, you know, there is the muse and there's the mentor, and you can look at every movie, Star Wars, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, all of them have those beats. But if we just scale it back a bit and we try to reduce it and we try to look at an even bigger picture. Some stories are completely different. Some stories don't even have a plot. Some stories are very, very focused on one thing, and they try to study that one thing. But I think every stories have these three elements, and this is Kindra Hall. She's a master storyteller. She has an amazing book I just finished reading it's called Stories That Stick. And I think she reduced it to three elements, which I like. It's the normal, explosion, new normal. Okay, and that basically equates to change. Every time we confronted with a story, we have some sort of change. The change could be from the story itself, from the character in the story, could be with us as the readers or the listeners. So let's start by going through these three elements. Who are we? Who is the listener? And how do we bridge between us? And for a moment, I'll take a step back and you know, why am I talking about all this? Eventually, when you have a product, a business, an idea, the way it can be conveyed to other people is through stories, because that's a universal language we all understand and we all connect to. So let's start with, who are you? Okay, Alice in Wonderland. And that's defining our hero. Our hero could be a character in the story. It could be us. It could be our business. It could be our idea. And it has to have four elements. And I'm drawing these elements out of the world of brand strategy. And I've studied with, I have a group of brand strategists I meet with every week. Annalie Helson, Annalie, messing up her last name. So she's our brand strategy guru, and she teaches this framework which shows how to build brands. But I find that this method works really well for finding who are we before we're telling the story. So you need to have purpose, vision, mission, and goals. So back to my story, I've finished in Israel. You need to serve in the army, and that sort of puts a pause on your dreams and aspirations. And after the army, I went straight to film school. I wanted to be a filmmaker. I guess I need to go to film school. And then slowly things started chipping away at this dream. I discovered that my ideas, my crazy ideas of fantastical worlds, aren't always accepted in this, in at least the Israeli industry. While other students made films about relationships, about family members going through crises, I had boy meets girl, boy and girl take out guns and start shooting at each other at a crazy action film. I had horror films where people, you know, get brutally murdered and there's a terrible mystery right around the corner. And for my final film, I had a very ambitious film about a drama between a boy and his grandma that has to do with religion and him rejecting religion, and religion literally comes to life and starts eating him. And they said, we love this idea about someone confronting his religion, but can you take out all the horror stuff? It's unrealistic. But that's all the whole fun. They didn't let me make that movie. I had to work as an editor in someone else's movie, and then I got my degree. And you know, they used to take us out on tours to film studios and TV studios, and I would walk around and I'll see people. I won't forget this. Literally soulless, you know, black eyes, holding their coffee cups, coming to what I think is the greatest thing ever. You know, you're making films, you're making TV, and this was just a horrible day job. And you can see there's no passion, no life, and just something grinding them. So I'm like, I'm not going to be part of that industry. And I ended up joining an editing studio where I get to edit movies. Okay, so I love editing. I got in and I found myself editing the same video every single day, and a basic explainer video of someone talking about their business and words coming up. And I just couldn't help myself. I kept going crazy with my videos, adding animation, adding crazy special effects. And they let me do it, but they said, you can go crazy, but you need to, you know, you need to still finish the video on time. You can't take longer. We want to finish, it was all about quantity, not quality. And they kept demanding more, and they kept, it started becoming a toxic workplace, and it got worse, and people were getting very depressed. And we were in this like tin can on top of a roof with a barely working air conditioning, just editing, everyone's sweating. And people just stay there because, it's a stable job. And then one day it just got to a breaking point. And I asked to go take care of my sick kid back then. My wife was 8 months pregnant. My kid was sick. I asked to leave early. And they said, what's going to be your next excuse? And that, something snapped. I hulked out. I just couldn't take anymore. And I quit 2 days later. It's just, wow, I felt it burning inside me. I don't usually get angry. And that's like one of the moments in my life I remember like letting it out. And I'm so happy they did that, because that moment propelled me into this world of the unknown. And once again, I had to figure things out right on the fly. I had to become a freelancer, find clients, find how to manage clients. But it happened so fast. And the next month, I made twice as much from freelancing. But the hours were about, never ending. I just worked like an animal. I worked like an animal all the time. But slowly, things balanced out. And I rediscovered my passions. I started getting more and more into board games and buying more board games. And I'm so thankful my wife was into them as well. And we could play together. And it was something that connected us and connected my family and my friends. And suddenly I had time to play because I decided my own schedule. And then I was like, what happens if we make videos about board games? So I needed to refine my purpose, okay? And I want you now to take out a piece of paper or open a doc, and don't think too long about this, but just write whatever comes to mind, okay? Why does this game / business / idea or anything you want to now specifically work on, why does it exist? What's the origin story? And you can even write something which only means something to you, okay? It doesn't have to be published. Okay, I wonder, please let me know, do you want me to go through the list first and then give you time to work, or to go each one, let you write? Please let me know.
I'm typing as you talk, so.
Okay, so let's go through all 4 of them, and then I'll give you like 3 to 4 minutes, and then we'll continue. So then we have the vision. The vision is that dream. I wanted to become a filmmaker. Okay, the Northern Star, what do you aim to achieve? After that, you have the mission. Now we're getting down, putting the boots on, buckling up. What's the master plan? What do we do? And how do we make the vision come true? And this is still, we're not small goals. This is, Tali, you want to help people overcome speech impediments. Now, your vision is to help that. Your purpose is to that. It's pretty similar, but your mission is now, I'm going to create a game that will help bridge some of those problems. Okay, so that game is one of your missions. Create a game or create a book. And then we go even closer in, and what are the actual goals that I want to set for myself? How many games do I want to release a year? How much, and money can come into here at this point, because we still want to make a living somehow, because it must be quantifiable. So you could say, I want in my business, I want next year to make $350,000. That is my goal. That's how I know that I'm telling stories, and I'm telling stories I love. So an unstable answer would be, I'll know it when I see it. So see if you can reduce this to actual long-term and short-term goals, which are quantifiable. So let me give you now 2 to 3 minutes, write down whatever you feel like you need to write down, and then we'll continue. Do you need more time? All right, let's continue. Okay, now we get to the other side. Meet Bob. Why isn't there's supposed to be music? Let me see if we can get the music back. Okay, doesn't work. So meet Bob, your #1 fan. I met with a client, potential client, a few months ago, and he told me this interesting story. He was sitting at a convention, and he had his game. He had a few game designs, and they're all laid out on the table. Okay, he had an RPG, he has a board game, he has a battler board game, and they're all interconnected. Sorry. And up comes this person called Bob. Let's call him Bob. And he stops and he says, "What is this?" And leans closer. He's like, "Oh, well, this is my game, and we have this is the game that's going to come to Kickstarter soon. This one is the next game. It sort of connects to it, and this is the RPG. And through the RPG, you can zoom into this game and then back to this game, and they all tie together." And Bob goes, "I want to buy everything right now." And he's like, "These are just prototypes. I don't care. I want, how much do I need to pay to get this?" And he's like, "Oh, it's fine, here." And he gave him the games. And next week, this video pops up in their Facebook group. And Bob says in the video, "This game is so cool. Look, you can do this, you can do that, you can play this, you can do that." And the designer was a little bit in shock, but it's like, okay, that's really cool. We created content with it. And then people started commenting, "Wow, this looks really interesting. Where can I follow? Where can I learn some more?" 30 people just signed up to his Facebook, and he didn't do anything, and didn't have to do anything. The next week, another video comes up, and Bob is now really excited. He's like, "I played this game yesterday, and this happened, and this was so cool, and this happened later. I just can't believe, I can't wait for this to come out." And people were getting excited in the comments, asking questions, and another flow of followers appeared in the Facebook page. And the designer just had to be there to receive this guy, and he was doing the marketing for him for free. You need to find Bob, because Bob is the person that you're making the game for. So you have 3 types of audiences when you're making any type of project, okay, or telling a story. You have Bob's, the super fans. Then you have the casual fans. These are people that, if we're talking about games, then the game, some part of the game might appeal to them, might appeal to their interest in theme, maybe in a specific mechanic, maybe just something clicks with them, but it's enough for them to back. And then underneath that, you have the general market, which is basically everyone else, anyone that could stumble across the game, whether it's Kickstarter or through retail or anything. And there's just enough things that piques his interest for them to do an impulse buy or decide to buy it for a friend, but more people will be here. And I ask this all my I show this to all my clients, and all my I has seen this in our conversation this week. And where do you focus your marketing energy? Who are you trying to entice? Who are you telling this story to? And the answer isn't the general market, because there's more people there. You will be inclined, yeah, I want as many people as possible. I should be targeting the general market. But there's a reason it's called target audience, because it is an actual target. And what you want to hit is the center. Because the moment you hit the center and you're talking to that specific person, that will go so crazy and he'll be so delighted by your game. It'll become his favorite thing of all time. That drags everyone else to the center. The opposite of, I don't know if there's like a physical term, but the opposite of transfugal physics, forces. So I guess magnetic, yeah, magnetic forces. Everything is drawn towards the middle. Fans become super fans. People from just general market are becoming interested, and then they play the game and they become fans. Now they look for the Facebook page to see if there's discussion, the BGG page. And who knows, they might be converted to super fans as well. Super fans will also carry the game and take it as a mission to help it. And they would post about it, they would share, they would give feedback. So if you're trying to craft a story about your game and you're trying to sell it to someone, always think of Bob or Bob S. Okay, so I guess, yeah. So always think of who are you talking to. So now, again, we're going to do a quick exercise, and I want you to quickly list out all the selling points you think your game has, all those things that make it cool, that get you excited about it. Okay, so it could be anything from the theme, the mechanics, the simplicity, the components, the table presence, anything that you think will fit here. List them all out, and then do another list where you tier them from the most exciting to the least exciting, and then start mapping out to each one of the markets. Okay, the fans, the super fans, the regular fans, and the general market. What would be the most important to each one? Okay, so take a few minutes to do that. The other track. Sorry, questions so far before we start? No? Good. Okay.
So, step 3, that means that once we found fans or...
I forgot to hide them, so ignore step 3 for now. I'll talk about that in a moment. Thank you for asking. Yeah. I just looked at the chat for the first time. If you're done, you can raise your Zoom hand, so I'll know that we can continue. Okay.
I'm
Story.
good. I'm on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on mobile and I can't find my hand, but I'm good. We can go.
Okay. Excellent. Storm and Imri, you're good?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so step 3 all this now, also we've done it like very, very quickly. So, but intuition is a very powerful tool. So definitely this is a good starting point, but do not use this as data. Okay, data is what you get when you go out and do research. And research can come in forms of polls, interviews, lurking, okay, just lurking in Facebook groups and seeing what sort of people like. And surveys are also very powerful tools. Playtesting, of course, but go out and figure out if your intuition is matching to what is actually out in the field. And once you gather that data, then you have some power, and then you're ready to bridge the gap. Okay, so just a second. Move the screens around here. Okay, so COVID started. Okay, every story in the past, every story everyone has to tell now that spans a few weird years gets to the point, and then COVID happened. I was at home with the kids, and my wife was studying to become a doctor. So she was getting ready for medical school, and it's a huge test to get accepted. So I had to also take care of the kids and also support us because she wasn't working anymore. And it was basically taking care of them during the day, working during the night. And the thing is, compared to other people, I was very fortunate. I shouldn't complain because work wouldn't stop coming. All my freelancing gigs, which were universities and town councils and things like that. So everyone wanted to make their version of a COVID video. So I just got, and they were paying a lot of money for it. Everyone just wanted their COVID video. We're taking care of it. Everything's going to be fine. Just make sure you're staying 2 meters away. And I just made them one after the other. And we had back then, still haven't recovered from it, an election storm where we had an election after election and just nothing was resolved. And while Israel suffered from it, I had so much work because everyone wanted videos for their campaigns over and over and over, and they would pay anything you wanted just to get it fast and to get. I had to say no to stop it because there was just so much work. And at the same time, I started getting Kagan Productions running. I managed to find a local designer and I made a video for him that, it was dragons and dice, and I went completely crazy and I charged like $100 for it just because it was so fun and I needed it. I needed to reconnect to my dream, what I originally wanted to do. And I used that video to get another client. And this one was from the US, and it was also a great game called Crossing Olympus with Greek gods, and they were fighting each other, and you had Zeus, and I did all these effects, and that led to another one and another one and another one, and eventually, I didn't do an ounce of marketing. It was just word of mouth, people sharing my videos, and then people saying, "Oh, can you do this for me as well?" And I started courting some of my favorite publishers. Wise Wizard Games, which is one of my favorite companies. I love Star Realms. It's one of my favorite games. I created fan films in their universe just to get their attention. And it worked. It was basically me blanded, just, shaking them and saying, "Let me work for you." And eventually they did. And, that was another dream project, but it got to the point where I realized I can't do both. I can't do freelancing and build a business at the same time because I realized there's so many things I need to do for business. I need to start marketing. I need to build a website. I need to find help with all this stuff. And I remember that day, I had to make the decision. And we had 2 kids. We just we just bought a house, and I said no to all my freelance clients. I fired all of them, one after the other. I remember the phone calls. "Hey, no more. This is it." And the funny thing is that most of them understood because they knew that I was slowly moving away from that. And I fired all my clients and I focused completely on board game videos. And again, that challenge was overcome because I had so much work. A few months later, I had to hire people to help me with it. And suddenly I could focus on not actually doing the craft itself, but thinking bigger and thinking how to tell the story and how to improve the business as a whole, working on the business rather in the business. And then I started focusing on those campaigns which I worked on, Crossing Olympus included, which did not succeed. We made a crazy, amazing video. Everyone said the video was really good, but the campaign didn't fund. And that frustrated me. That really frustrated me. Why didn't it work? Don't they see the potential? And I started researching to know what's the deeper solution here? What's the bigger thing which we can solve to make it work? So we want to start bridging the gap. We need it. There's a few things, okay? Everything here is not in a necessary order, but these are the things I've discovered which really help sell and get the message over. So one is the call to adventure. You have strong hooks, okay? Which is probably the number one thing you put in the list, which we put together, okay? That's a strong hook. You get the biggest thing at the beginning, and then you want to bring them into your world. So in a world, you have that voiceover from the trailers. What is the familiar thing about this world and what is different? So in a world of, trying to think of an example, in a world of pirates, but when there is no captain and all of the pirates need to decide who will be the leader at every single time. In a world of a post-apocalyptic sniper battle, but where you need to somehow narrow into your to your opponent by using polyominoes to close a target. In a world where there's a lot of monsters, but each one has a unique voice, which you need to discover what it makes. You need to start with something familiar, but then give it a twist. Okay, what is new? You need to start somewhere so there's no confusion, so we're comfortable. We know, okay, so this is this type of movie, or this is this type of game, but then there's something that makes us lean forwards. Okay, this is different. I haven't seen this before. Can't overdo it. Movies that start out as a horror movie, a complete horror movie, and then completely change into a sci-fi movie, that's too much for us. We sort of disengage. We're not focusing anymore because we're like, wait, what is it? I need to reevaluate this world. Okay, so we never want to reevaluate the world. It has to have this constant, you need to follow the rules you set out for yourself. Okay, feast for the eyes. Thankfully, board games are such a visual medium. You'll probably have an abundance of visual and aesthetic experiences to portray. And an aesthetic experience, that's another way to grab attention, is when you show something which is completely unique and you've never seen before. The challenge here is to keep it going and ramping it up. So if you show something that's really unique, I mean, imagine if this whole presentation was this same duck throughout the whole time. I mean, he's super, super cute, but I think that if I show another image, it has to be something also same line, but different. And another piece of advice I can give is start with your best and then make it even better. Okay, start with your strongest point and then allow yourself to try to figure out how to make it even better, because your fastest might not be what you perceive to be your fastest. Okay, there's a saying in Israel, you start running your fastest and then increase your speed. That's the same thing. And just to take a step back for a second, I'm talking about anything that you're doing to present your game or your product. This could be just a pitch. This could be a video. This could be an ad. This could be a graphic. Okay, this could be the back of the box. Everything here still lives in the same sort of set of rules, which can be also broken. Okay, drama. This is how drama works, and this feels a little bit rigid, but believe me, this is true. In a dramatic situation, there's two things, two scenes, two types of scenes, which give us that dramatic emotional experience. The first one is when a character believes he has something or believes he can achieve something, okay? I come in and I know I'm going to be opening that door and going to the next room. And I walk all the way. I'm super confident. I can't wait to be in the next room. And then at the last second, I realize that the door is locked and I don't have the key. Okay, man and a woman. Okay, he thinks she's in love with him, and he's 100% sure that if he leans into the kiss, it's gonna happen. And he leans in, and suddenly a bicycle knocks him over. Okay, he thought he's gonna have it by 100%, and he loses it at the last second. That's one scene. The other one is the complete opposite. You start at a low, thinking that you've lost anything and everything is hopeless. Okay, so a woman just lost her job and that's it. She just doesn't know how she's going to be paying rent. And she's ready to give up. She needs to leave the apartment. She packs up everything. She's about to go and she opens the door. And there is her. I'm trying to find an end to the story, but I don't have it. But behind the door is the realization she never wanted to be there anyways. Okay, that's the end of the story. She needed to get out, and the leaving of the apartment is the thing that frees her. So believing you have nothing and then gain something you've never expected. So these are the two types of ways we create dramatic scenes, and it's always the change happens towards the end. Whenever you tell the story, you want to wait for the ending to reveal that change. Either you had something and you lost it, or you had nothing and you gained something you never expected to. And finally, a promise for more. A good story always leaves a taste for more. And with products and with Kickstarter videos, and there's always a chance for us to say, but wait, there's more. There's this one final twist, which I haven't told you about. And if you've listened until now, you're gonna want to hear this. This could be the exclusive. This could be the expansion. This could be the upgrade of the components itself. This could be a twist in the mechanics, which we've never even thought. You know, oh, you thought that this is all, but what happens if you do this? Or there's something surprising like a solo play that you haven't mentioned until this point. And then we have the end credit scene, which, like classic Marvel, after we thought everything is done, we had the catharsis and we're like, okay, I want to get this. You live a little something. You leave a little wink, a little nod, a little saying that, you know, I'm with you, the storyteller, and I'll take care of you. It's sort of a way of building trust. And they lived happily ever after type of thing. It comes in many forms. I can't pinpoint it right now, but it's always something that is very useful to add a little something for more. Okay, there might be a next edition. I have plans for more down the road, and such. Okay, so points to remember. Always keep in mind what you want your audience to think, feel, know, and do in this order. Okay, so that goes with everything we talked about now. Think, what do they think about? Like, what is the world? Okay, so okay, I'm in this kind of story. Feel, Then you start getting into the drama, either it's aesthetic or it's emotional. You start raising these feelings that you want them to have: excitement, fear, and then know what's important for you for them to know about this product, but do it in a way where you let them understand, you let them come into that conclusion, rather than telling them this game is easy to learn but hard to master, or saying this game is really fun. Show that, don't tell, show. And just coming back to this last one, an audience member needs to know what he needs to do next. What's the next step? Okay, what's the call to action? So never forget this. They need to know what do they need to do now to either relive that experience or have it for themselves. Okay. Buying. Okay, this is about the do part. Buying comes from emotions, not from information. When we buy something, it's either because we want to experience that same experience we felt from engaging with it, or we want it as a status symbol. Okay, I should only buy Apple products because that's what I believe in, or I only want an electrical car because I believe in the environment, or I support this brand. And all these things are motivated by emotions, rather than if you see a list of specs or something like that, and that's your first presentation of a product is a list of this has A, B, C, and D. It's much harder to convert someone that way, because then he's not making it from emotion, he's making it based on data. The information and the data comes usually after he emotionally made that decision, when he writes into the small details, but always start from emotion. Always think about those aha moments, okay? So good stories have very strong moments in them. And this is another thing from Kindra Hall show. It says each story has to have that specific moment in real time. And when I make my videos, I try to reduce it to, at a certain point of the video, to have that moment. It could be in a video that I just made for Cube Monster, where you're feeding cubes to this huge monster and you need to sacrifice the cubes as you're climbing this mountain. And at certain points, the monster will demand a sacrifice by a dice roll. It rolls a dice, and then you see, okay, you need to sacrifice 3 cubes. So I was like, okay, this is the aha moment. We're not going to have this die just roll regularly. We're going to have it shoot out of a volcano, turn into a fireball in the sky, land, create a crack on the floor, and then reveal itself, because that's a dramatic moment in the game. So it's sort of slow down time, show that moment, and then get back to the bigger picture. Don't overstay your welcome, overselling. A lot of people ask me, and I actually talked to Bez about this today, how long does a video need to be? I mean, how much information you need to cram in there? I think that it's a cliche answer, but saying as much as you need and not more. Because if you feel like you've told your story, it's like telling a joke and then trying to explain it afterwards. Okay, it's like telling a riddle, no one knows the answer, and then you have to tell the answer and then explain everything that goes into it. That might not be a good example, but it's like saying, okay, you want to buy this phone. Okay, it has a great camera, it has high quality, and then the guy says, I love it. Okay, I'm sold. That's what I'm looking for. And then you continue and you say, oh, but it has this support, and it has that, and the battery life can last you for 8 hours. And you're giving way too much info that the client not necessarily asked for. And now he's like, wait, okay, only 8 hours? And why are you still selling this to me? And all these, you're raising questions which he didn't necessarily think about. So make sure that when you're telling your story, when you're selling product, do like stick to what we planned out, to what you mapped out, that what's going to be important to the listener, and don't overstay your welcome. And finally, we talked about a lot of things today. And it might seem that, stories are super engineered and meticulously put together by data. Let some of the magic happen still, okay? You don't need to over-engineer it. You need to take it to a certain point, make sure that you're telling the right story to the right person, and then let some of your intuition take over. And that's when you look back to what you've written today and remember these seeds which you planted, and make sure that you didn't get lost along the way. And one last thing, remember that stories are infectious. The moment you tell a story that really resonates with someone, he's going to tell that story. He's going to retell that story. And when you sell a game to a retail store, in the store, they're going to be able to tell that story again to someone who walks by and asks, wait, what's that? Oh, you're entering into a world. So in a world of, and they'll tell your story again. And when someone buys your game and sits down to the table and needs to convince his group to play it with him, he's going to tell that story again. And it's going to spread, and it's going to bring us all together, because that's what games are about. And as I was figuring out how to put my business together and how to make it work, and to make sure I can even sustain my family and make sure I'm bringing enough income. Ever since I started, I've kept connection with all my clients. They all came, I'm still in contact with almost all of them. I ask how they're doing, and I always get referrals from people. And like most of my clients come as referrals, and they just come from different places. And it just feels like a huge family. And I'm so grateful for these people. It's just wonderful to work with them. It's wonderful to get to know them. And not only that, my competitors are people I'm in contact with daily. I'm in chat with them right now, people that make videos themselves. And we talk about our struggles, our fears, how we share tips. We even work on each other's projects. And one day, Georgius from Aniro, which is another great studio, he came to me and he said, Ori, I need you to work on a project for me, because I'm not going to have time to do it, and you're the one that's going to need to do it. And that game was Star Wars, The Clone Wars. And I finally finished my movie by making an actual IP video for Star Wars. So thank you very much. This was my story, and I hope you're able to discover yours. And we have time now for questions if you want to ask about anything or talk about your product, and we can all help and see what we can talk about. So Tali, go ahead. Thank you.
Oh, I didn't have a question. I was clapping.
Okay.
But actually, since you did, I had one, when you did the chart for the primary, the secondary, general, it's really hard to kind of narrow down what's going to appeal to each one. Like, do you find there's a lot of overlap? Because essentially whatever appeals to the primary should appeal to all of the circles.
Yes.
So I just wasn't sure how to tier those.
Let me show you an example of a table that we created for a pirate game I might have mentioned. Okay, that we're a sinking game. And that game, basically, imagine you were a pirate on a ship and the captain disappeared and you're attacked by a gigantic kraken. And every turn, someone else is getting the mantle of being the first mate, and he needs to decide what to do. And there's a lot of treasure on board, and you're sinking. And the ship literally breaks apart and moves into the table as you're sinking. And as it goes down, the treasure is floating up, and you're all pirates. So you're always thinking, do I take the treasure or do I help fight the monster? And the game can end in two ways. Either you defeat the monster and the richest one okay, that stole as much treasure as possible during the game wins, or if the ship sinks, the pirate with the least amount of treasure, with nothing in his pockets, he will be the lightest. He's the winner because he gets a lifeboat and he runs away. So it's a semi-competitive game, not cooperative, semi-competitive game. And the way I told it to you now was literally me listing out all these selling points from the most important to the least important one. So we started out with the pirate theme, but the most important thing was that chip, okay? The centerpiece, the table presence. That's important to Tom because Tom loves a game with table presence. He's the one that brings the game to the table. He opens it up, shows it to everybody, and just imagine that day he's going to lay that huge ship and saying, we're going to be playing this. So he loves wowing his game group. He loves to look at components, okay? Sensory, things that you can feel and touch and move. So this game is not just a pretty thing, it's an actual thing that you move and you move around. He loves light medium games, not overly complex and very approachable to anyone because he has a gaming group which aren't hardcore gamers. So he wants games that he can teach quickly and that they can enjoy. He wants at least 4 players because that's the size of his game group, his or her. He loves, oh, Adrian is coming in. Okay. So he loves, they love to roll.
Who is Tom in this example? Is Tom like a new name for Bob?
Tom is the old name for Bob. Sorry, I changed it to Bob
cool.
because Bob was better. But I might even change it again to something a little gender neutral. I'm thinking of changing it even further because this was based on a true story and it was an actual Tom. And then I realized, okay, let's not actually call it Tom, and I changed it to Bob, but I want to change it to some general neutral name. So they have 4 players. They love role-playing in their games, so they like getting into the theme. And they love chaotic games. They don't care about winning, it's about the experience, and they like to win. They like a game that can continue, and they enjoy player interactions. So this was really in depth because we could really see this player, and to tell you the truth, it's just based on what the creator likes because he's making a game for him. Hi, Adrian. Thanks for joining us. We sort of finished the presentation. We're just now going through questions, but feel free to join us. Now, the secondary audience is very similar, very, very similar, but it's a lot more generalized, okay? So they love pirate games. That will be their first hook. Okay, ooh, I love pirate games. Let's see what this one is about. Then they see that ship. Oh, wow. Okay, this is a pretty cool pirate game. And then they love the artwork. That might be enough. They love the nice whimsical artwork, and we'll see if I can bring it up here. Here it is. I saved it over here. Okay, so they love the nice whimsical artwork, the characters here. Let's see if I can find the characters. So you see there's the characters, beautiful colors, and very lively. So that would be probably the thing that would sell them on the game. And then what is this what type of game is this? Oh, it's a bluffing betrayer type game. Oh, I love those. Okay. And then we wrote like similar games, and comps is a good way to figure out who this game is for. You find comparable games to yours and you try to learn more about that audience. And for the target market, general market, we started with the pirate theme. We went straight to the artwork, and ooh, that ship looks cool and easy to learn. So you see, it really like scales down,
Yeah,
and it becomes more generalized because eventually you still want it to sort of fit within each other, even though you're talking to Bob or Tom or whoever.
that's really helpful. Thank you. I can sort of plug in mine into this. I can see where the pieces all fit.
Awesome. Yeah, anyone else? Does anyone else want to talk about their game maybe and take the opportunity to just say what they sort of came up with? Okay, so if anyone wants to just ask questions later, feel free to either find me on Facebook, Ori Kagan, or email me at orikagan@gmail.com. And I wanted to thank you for coming, because this was a very interesting and revealing experience for me. And I hope to make more of these again. And I hope this helps people, because like I said, all I want is really not only just to not just to tell stories, but the purpose of stories is bringing people together and sort of achieving our dreams. And that's what I want to do. So anything I can do to help that.
Thank you so much, Ori. It was really great. Really learned a lot. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Tracy.
That was really cool.
Thank you, Storm. Glad you like the music. I'm very interested to know what you have from a voiceover perspective too, how that fit in. But we could chat about that as well when we come with our next project. All right. Oh, do you want to say something?
Yeah, it was just real quick. It was I always try to get different perspectives, because it kind of helps me connect. I'm a storyteller too, to connect with other storytellers and connect them with their audiences, because it's all about the connections and how you make your audience feel.
Mm-hmm.
So this was, I appreciate the different perspectives from all different angles, from the creatives angles, and you always make really great videos that I have a blast putting voices to, and I thought it was really interesting to make the connection from the creative side. So that was great. Thank you.
Amazing. Storm always gets it right on the first take.
Not always, but I do try to as much as I can to be a one take wonder, but whatever it takes.
You you are for me. If the client thinks otherwise, then whatever. All right. So
yeah, it definitely took me a couple of tries with some of that Yucatan from the Yucatan game. That took me a couple of tries. That was great.
Yeah. Like I said. Okay.
Great questions. Thank you.
Sorry, Biz?
Some great prompts. Thank you.
You're most welcome. I really hope this helps. Okay, thank you very much. And just last one thing. Does anyone have a problem with this going up as a recording? Okay, just wanted to make sure. Okay, so thank you so much, guys and girls and everyone. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Laurie.